What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's day one of the new league year, and I was just getting ready to record, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check the timeline one more time, and thank God I did because essentially probably the biggest signing of the day for the Dolphins happened just recently. So I'm glad I waited until I did. So I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to start with the brand new news first, but all of today's signings right here, right now. And as you can see right then and there, Miami Dolphins got another running back. This time it's Raheem Mostert, signs a 1 year, $3.125 million deal. So if we look at Mostert a little bit here, he's going to be 30 this year, which is kind of that age for a running back where you kind of want to start parting ways. But give it a second here. I'll talk a little bit about that. So he's joining a backfield primarily consisting of now Chase Edmonds, who they signed earlier in the week, and Myles Gaskin. And if you look at what Mostert's done the last couple of years, last year he appeared in one game. 2 years ago, he appeared in 8 games. But if you look back to what he did 3 years ago, where he had his best NFL season, he ran for over 700 yards. He had the 8 touchdowns. So he also adds a little bit more as a pass catcher as well. However, I think primarily you're going to see Chase Edmonds get the bulk of that role. But this is why I like him despite the injury history, despite the age, is he's a familiar face. Mike McDaniel knows is exactly what he's getting in Raheem Mostert. He knows the system, won't be much of a learning curve, and he'll be able to help implement that run game system from the get go. The other running backs that have questions, that need something, they spend a lot of time together. That's going to be able to be just an educational component. And more so than anything, when it actually comes to producing on the field, speed, speed, speed. Chase Edmonds is fast, but Raheem Mostert is really fast. So that's another just perfect piece. I don't call him perfect. He's not the perfect running back, but he's a great piece that fits that zone, one cut wide zone, and get up the field. And if Mostert gets past that level, no one's catching him. No one is catching him whatsoever. So one other thing I'll add on Raheem Mostert real quick here is it probably takes the early round running back in the draft off the board. Never rule anything out. We don't know exactly how it's going to go. But Raheem Mostert has been added. And then continuing the trend of going in reverse order of how things happened, another backfield piece. Mike McDaniel got his fullback, another fullback, Alec Ingold, on a 2 year, $7.5 million deal. So he spent the first 3 years of his career playing with the Raiders. He's going to be 26 going into this season. And if you look at what he provides, he's a blocking fullback. That's his primary role. He does have some pass catching ability. I think he has about, I looked it up, it was like 28 or 30 career receptions. So not a ton, but a good safety outlet that has the experience of being able to do that. But he's one of 2 fullbacks on the roster now. The Dolphins added, I think it was about a month ago, John Lovett, who had previously played with the Packers. He's probably now a long shot to make the team. We know McDaniel loves his fullbacks, though. We'll see exactly. Maybe Lovett gets a role on special teams somewhere. But at 2 years, $7.5 million, Ingold is definitely the guy that's going to be able to play kind of like that Kyle Juszczyk role for the Dolphins this year. So that's what they added on the offensive side of the ball. And if you go on the defensive side of the ball, basically a re-sign here. Sheldrick Redwine rejoins the Dolphins, 1 year, $1.52 million deal. Not too much on Sheldrick here, honestly. Last year, he was kind of back and forth on the team's roster. He's going to be 25 years old going into this year. He's a local kid, excuse me, from Miami, played at Miami. But if you look at what he's providing, he's a depth piece. And it's kind of like a development wait and see if anything is kind of there. Maybe learning behind Jones and Holland can spark something, and you can have a developmental piece here. But right now, Redwine is exactly just like a depth piece at this point in time. But that's today's signings. In other kind of related news, everyone still wants that offensive line. I get it. We know what the holdup is. The holdup is Watson, and then it's like the trickle down effect. What happens to Deshaun Watson? What happens to Teron Armstead? And then the Lyle Collins stuff gets in there. And there was a report that the Miami Dolphins have had discussions with the Cowboys about a potential trade package, or maybe do they wait? Do they see if he gets released? So I know it's hard to be patient. We see all these teams making all these moves and everything, and we see the free agent offensive linemen. We see the list gets shorter and shorter and shorter. It's like the well's running dry. But Stay patient. Hopefully, I swear that a plan has to be in place. JC Treader is still available at center. He was a piece that wasn't available, didn't expect to be available going into free agency. So we don't know how that changed teams' plans as well. If Miami is willing to maybe kind of navigate away from their plan going into free agency now that he's available. So just a couple of players to keep an eye on at a position we all desperately want this team to invest in a little bit here in free agency with all this money. Besides just doing all like the necessary pieces, the depth pieces, the special teams guys, getting a couple of running backs now, but we'll see. There's definitely a couple options left on the table. So we'll cross that bridge hopefully when we get there in the next day or two. But that's what I've got for today, the first day of the league year. But I will be back tomorrow with a breakdown of any additional signings and any other Dolphins news. So until then, Dolphins fans, have a good one.